Do you want to learn how to alter a bodice pattern to make it fit? The first step is to prepare the pattern tissue so you can try it on. And I am going to show you how to do just that. I'm Kate from Confident Stitch, where we empower you to make quilts, bags, and clothes you are truly proud of. Today, I'm going to use the Decades of Style Alicia Clare blouse as my example. And I'm going to be using the Palmer Pletsch Guide to Fitting. I'm a Palmer Pletsch certified instructor, and that's the method I use. The supplies you'll need are a soft pencil. I also have a couple of red pens, but you really just need a soft pencil. A 1 by 6 inch ruler, a seam gauge, measuring tape, a 1/2 inch Scotch tape, paper scissors, pins, of course, the Palmer Pletsch Complete Guide to Fitting, and an iron. All of these are available for purchase at The Confident Stitch, of course, and I'll have links to that in the description below. To select your size, you want to take your high chest measurement. And to do that, you want to take your measuring tape and position it below your shoulder blades in the back and in your high chest in the front. Take that measurement and pick the size that most corresponds to that measurement. That way, your shoulders and upper chest will fit, and that's the most important. After you've selected your size, you want to roughly cut around the front and back pattern pieces, just like this. And they're going to be wrinkly, so you want to turn them over to the wrong side and then press them with a warm, dry iron. This iron, you can remove the water bag, which I love, so that you don't have to worry that it might drip on the tissue. But just a warm iron, you're going to be able to get rid of all the wrinkles, and it's going to help you be more accurate when you cut out the pattern piece. For further accuracy, you should mark the cutting lines for your size. I usually just use a pencil, but I'm going to use a bright red Sharpie today so you can see it. And to protect the gridded cardboard, I'm going to use some construction paper in between my pattern and the cardboard. So for the straight lines, I use my little 1 by 6 inch ruler, and for the curves, I tend to freehand them. If you are more patient than I am, you can use a curved ruler for the curves, but I am just going to go all the way around and quickly mark the cutting lines for my size. After you've marked the cutting lines, it's time to cut out the tissue right on the outside of the lines that you drew. I have a nice pair of paper scissors. I don't use my fabric scissors. And I'm just going to cut it out. So now it's time to mark your seam allowances. This makes it much easier to accurately pin your pattern pieces together. And the first, most important step is to check the seam allowance on your pattern. For this Decades of Style pattern, the seam allowance is 1/2 inch. Usually for clothing, the seam allowance is 5/8, but not always, so make sure to double check. When a seam allowance is 5/8 of an inch, I love using measuring tape to mark my seam allowances, because generally measuring tapes are 5/8 of an inch wide, which is really nice. But today I'm going to use my 1 by 6 inch ruler and my seam gauge. I also usually use pencil, but I'm going to use my giant Sharpie today so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go all the way around once again and mark my seam allowances. You can use dashed lines or solid lines today. I'm definitely going to use solid so that we can all see them, but it's up to you. Now this is kind of a curve, so I'm going to grab my seam gauge and just do some dots as I go around. So I'm just going to go all the way around and meet you back here. After you mark the stitching lines, it's time to mark the darts. I have already marked the fisheye dart here because it was really hard to see. And I also have marked the center front of my pattern piece all the way up through the collar, so all the way up here. That'll be helpful when I'm trying it on. And I'm going to mark this dart. And it's really helpful to mark them because you can see that there are lots of darts and it's pretty confusing to figure out which one is yours. So find the right one and just draw the two legs. After you've marked your darts, it's time to reinforce the tissue so you can try it on without ripping it. And the places that you need to reinforce it are on the curves of fitted garments. And for this one, we just have the armhole curve, so I'm going to show you how to tape it. I usually use 1/2 inch Scotch tape, as I mentioned at the beginning, but I've got some washi tape ready today so that you can see what I'm doing, because Scotch tape is clear. So on they say the inside of your seam allowance, but it's this side, away from the edge. You want to tape along the curve with some overlap of the pieces of tape. So that's the only taping I need to do with this pattern. If it had more of a curved neckline, I would tape there as well. And after you put the tape on, you want to clip to but not through the tape. That will help your tissue not tear when you're trying it on. Next, you want to test the strength of your reinforcements by tugging a little bit on the tissue and just making sure it doesn't tear. And it's time to pin the darts. When you're pin fitting tissue, the operative word is wrong sides together. So you're going to fold the darts so they are wrong sides together. I will start with this dart. And I'm lining up the dart legs. I can actually see the bright red on the other side. And my pins are pointing toward the outside of the garment, kind of pointing down so that they don't fall out. All right, and then I'm going to pin this fisheye dart. Again, we're going to fold it, look at the other side. I can see the line. Oops, I want to be pointing down for this one as well. And so I need to turn it the other way because I'm right-handed. Okay. I've already prepared the back pattern piece, and next I'll show you how to pin them together. So now I'm going to pin the back to the front along the shoulder seams and the side seams. wrong sides together. So here's the back. I've prepared it. It does have tape, but I used the actual Scotch tape. And I'm going to position them wrong sides together with the shoulders lined up. And the first pin in the shoulder area, oops, I'm going to line up these, should be where the shoulder and the neckline meet. And once again, I'm making the pins point away from my body for obvious reasons, and also so they don't fall out. All right, and then for the side seams, you want to start right here where the armhole and the side seam meet. That will be the first pin. Again, these are wrong sides together. And I'm just going to let the dart kind of hang out. I'm not going to pin it down or anything. There we go. You can match your notches. And it's so handy to have your seam allowances marked so you know exactly where to pin. And also that you know that things are lining up correctly. I'm going to pin all the way down to the hem. Now it's time to try on the tissue. Carefully, you want to make sure that the shoulder seam is on your shoulder seam and that the side seam is down your side. And try it on. Next time, I'll show you how to read the tissue to create a beautifully fitted garment. Please remember to like this video if you liked it, subscribe to our channel if you want to learn more about sewing and quilting, and head over to the website if you want to pick your next project. Thanks for watching, everyone, and bye for now.